Hello and welcome. That's our new sponsor, Rod's Splasharoo. Hope you enjoy it. They're only open at night, by the way. So happy Thanksgiving Eve to everybody. Welcome to another episode, another Shill and Chill. We've got some special guests tonight. We're gonna bring in first. You guys know him from my channel. He's here all the time, Mr. RC Gates. What's up, RC? How are you?
I was wondering if you clicked on the right intro or not.
I'll play the actual Shill and Chill opening in a second. It's not quite as insane. And then, of
Exactly.
course, our special guest tonight. We actually have two special guests here. So we got a bonus. So first, I'm going to bring on Mr. Chimera, who is the writer and creator of SOS and Testament. How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me. That intro you played sums up the internet very well. Each other.
Well, with the half turkey, half human heads, I figured it was kind of seasonally appropriate.
Yes.
And then we have another guest who Chimera was nice enough to invite here. He is what I usually refer to him as the busiest artist in Comicsgate. This is the one, the only Ibai Canales. How are you?
Hola. I'm delighted to be here. I gotta say, I really enjoyed your intro. I don't know what's about half human, half turkey hybrids that scream incoherently that I really like.
Yeah, it's just sheer insanity, but for some reason it works. So anyway, we are here to talk about SOS Volume 3. The sign up on Indiegogo is now up, so anybody can sign up for it. But before we do that, let's hit the actual intro and we'll get in the mood. Okay, that's our nice little island feel. Just to get everybody in a mellow mood. It is the busiest party night of the year for those of you who partake in such sort of things. Thanksgiving Eve, usually the big bar night, biggest party night of the year, here in the States at least. We're actually, because we are international tonight.
Too bad we don't have Thanksgiving in Spain, but happy Thanksgiving anyway.
Well, thank you.
We actually don't thank our Indians for having stolen their lands, It's ours now.
Oh gosh. All right, so let's get into it. I know Chimera, you only have a certain amount of time that you can be here, so we're going to get into it right away.
Yeah,
so SOS, first and foremost, for people who don't know, who aren't familiar with SOS Volume 1, SOS Onslaught, SOS Volume 2, why don't you fill in the crowd here on what exactly is SOS?
Well, it's a dark comedy action series I made up probably over a decade ago, going on 2 decades, actually, almost. And it chronicles the misadventures of 3 superhuman brothers. And basically, they're fighting against an interdimensional army. Basically, hell, but I wanted to, work around that. So it's called the Abyss. And main enemies are demons, but I also like to sprinkle in supervillains and aliens and kind of mix it up. I was a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up, and they fought all kinds,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have mentioned before, I actually said this last night on my stream. I have reviewed every previous SOS volume, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every single one of them. So it's one of the series that's out there that within Comicsgate that I actually am. It's so easy for me to just say I would consider myself a fan of this series.
Damn.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really do enjoy it. And I think I said it when I was reviewing SOS Volume 1. It really, you called it a dark comedy, but I don't know if that even really does it justice. Like, I said it in my first review it's the kind of book that if I would have found it when I was a kid, like in the comic shop, I would have felt like I was getting away with something if I was able to like bring it home and read it. Like, because the humor is definitely there. It's absolutely funny, but there's some messed up stuff that goes on in those books.
That stuff just comes natural to me. I honestly didn't think it was a big deal because I grew up watching South Park and like Adult Swim, so that stuff is
Right.
natural for me.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like, obviously, I joke on every. Listen, it's a thing on every stream. I have to mention that I'm probably the oldest one in the room, and I for me, like, I watched Adult Swim too, but I was already like in my 20s when that started. So
Shit, that means I'm pretty old as well, because I remember watching that shit and like I was in our college.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm I don't hide it. I'm 46 years old, so like it is what it is.
I can see it.
It's all the gray. It's this thing. And then we have hey, what's up, Itchy? And then we also have Jeremy here, who claims, Canales, that they are your boyfriend.
Oh, they are my boyfriend. They are my significant other. I guess I'm gay now.
No,
okay.
it's a woman. Don't worry about it.
It's a long, complicated story.
Gotcha. No problem. We don't judge. But yeah, so now the in SOS, like, one thing I wanted to bring up. Well, first let's get into SOS Volume 3. Let's talk about that now. Like, what are the brothers doing in this one? In the last one, there was a whole bunch of alien stuff. So what's happening in this one?
Oh, they basically returned to New York in Volume 3. So we returned back to form, and they let me just show some pages. That'll be easier.
Go for it.
Let's see, share screen, window, blah, blah. Okay, so they have a powerful weapon that they didn't know they had. That was an artifact from World War II, and some mercenaries are hired to steal it. And you would think it'd be the ultimate bad guys, but it's actually just a fat nerd trying to use the scythe to manipulate reality, but it also draws the attention of the Demon King that scythe belongs to. And so this guy accidentally starts off a cataclysmic event. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but
Right.
yeah, he's just a dope who got way in over his head, and then yeah.
That's one of the things that I actually really enjoy about the series is it's not afraid to do like something silly, and at the same time, then it'll do something like horrifically gruesome, like the next page.
Yeah, I remember a healthy dose of people having their spines ripped off in Volume 2. I know because I draw that.
Yeah, but they're aliens, so it's not like too gross.
Yeah,
It's
they're
not
not people. Aliens are not people. Okay. That's what I always get when I try to get into the US.
Hey, listen, according to there was that story the other day, according to Demi Lovato, we shouldn't be calling aliens because it's an offensive term. So so apparently Demi Lovato is the expert on extraterrestrials.
Yeah, man.
Oh, actual aliens. I thought you meant. Oh.
Yeah, no, extraterrestrials.
Well, what? Okay. Sure.
Apparently, she wants to
Illegal
date one of them.
extraterrestrial.
What'd you say, RC?
I said apparently she wants to date one of them, but who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
They can have her. I've seen them.
Yeah, listen, she's if you see a before and after of her, what she used to look like and what she looks like now.
Yeah, she's like that meme before college and after college. Like,
Yep.
she has like 3 or 4 chins now and like a really short fringe.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. She cut the hair off. She like added a bunch of weight. She's just crazy. So, there's that too. So people in the chat, people watching the replay later. I'm gonna share share my screen here and bring that up. Okay, so the sign up is now available. It's now ready. It's up, so you can sign up and be part of the mailing list for SOS Volume 3. This one is 50 plus pages, and you can check out some more of the artwork here too, by our buddy Ibai down there, who's drawing away as we speak.
Mm-hmm. I'm never not drawing.
Yep. And there's the week 1 trading card by Preston Acevedo. Oh, Let's see, scroll up. Yeah, there you go.
That one right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
so-
Megas, when he's half transformed.
So that's every physical backer gets that card. Week 1.
Yep.
Everyone who backs during week 1 is going to get that card by Preston, the good Preston, as we like to say.
Yeah. And there's head sketches. We did that on the last campaign, but I kind of added it in the middle of the campaign. We still did pretty well. So I learned as I go. I added more. I learned to add sketch cards and original art. I didn't realize that stuff would make money, but it does.
And you've even got a $5 discount for people who sign up.
Yeah, on the main book and some other tiers.
Nice. Axel. That's very nice. So, when do you think you're actually going to launch the campaign proper?
Probably the last week of January.
Okay, so there's time for people to get in and so they can get that sketch card. Sign up and they can be ready for that sketch card. They can be not the sketch card, the week 1 card.
Yeah.
They can be ready. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask, I know, like I said, I mentioned Ibai is one of the busiest artists in Comicsgate for sure. I've got a bunch of books that you've done. I know you've done. You did. Let me just close that. I'll shut that for now.
Yeah, I lost count myself. I don't know how many books I've done already.
Yeah, well, you did Iron Sights.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, the first one that introduced Comicsgate to you. Obviously, because that was one of the first Comicsgate books.
I think 6 or 7 books.
Wow.
Yeah, probably.
Right, and then you've done the SOS series. You didn't do the side story Onslaught, correct?
No,
that
was
Raphael Cristani. Raphael Cristani.
Rafa Cristani.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do from now on. Is just have some side stories.
And that side story book had a cover by Simon Bisley.
Yeah,
which was when you first announced it, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying that my employers keep teaming me up with people who are like leagues above me for some reason or another, trying to make me feel bad or what. Like, okay, you're gonna draw a cover, and then we're gonna have it next to Simon Bisley's cover. I'm like, whose cover again? Yes, this Simon Bisley. Okay, sure. What the fuck not?
So, just real quick, if you want to, I mean, it might not be an interesting story, but how did that come to be? You getting the cover from Biz?
Oh, I've been wanting art from him forever. I just kept Googling it, and I found some old forum, and then that led to a website. I forget what it was called, berserkerart.com or something. Yeah. And there's British guys, Adam Brown and his brother, do the website, and they are in contact with all these famous artists. It's
Oh, nice.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so you managed to track them down.
Yeah. Apparently, Phil Diaz did the same thing around the same time. It was kind of funny without each of us knowing.
Oh, so you guys did that independently?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I had no idea. He got his own cover.
Yeah, because I remember that. That's funny because that's like it's kind of just an odd coincidence.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, for people who don't know, why don't we just talk a little about the brothers themselves, the characters in SOS? We've got start with. I guess we'll start with Carnage.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Fan favorite.
So why don't you just give us a little personality profile, if you will, of Carnage?
I mean, he's the middle brother, and he's kind of a fun-loving dick. He's basically if I had no filter and I was amped up my personality by like 100. Yeah, he just straight up doesn't give a fuck, and I guess he's the breakout character. I honestly didn't think people would like him. Like, I'm trying to write this guy as a dick. And like, why do people like him so much? It was just very strange. It was very strange. I thought Magus would be the favorite because I liked his design, and he's the oldest brother. I don't know.
I have this theory. I don't know, because to me, like, if you don't like, Magus is to me kind of like he's like the leader of the group.
Right.
And I have this theory of like, for some reason, the leaders are never the most popular character. It's always like the rebel character who's always the most popular one.
Yeah, people don't like Leonardo; they like Raphael.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Mikey. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. I mean, I've talked about this before. Like, I always felt weird because growing up, my favorite X-Man was always Cyclops, and like I know everybody hates Cyclops.
Right. Well, especially now.
Well, now it's a whole different. I mean, he's not even the same character anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we got a little Jeremy Ironsman says Carnage is the cute one.
He gets his looks back. He takes some serum and he gets rid of his mutant form.
So now all the brothers have powers.
Yep.
And we've gone into, if I'm remembering right now, it's been a while since I read 1 and 2 now. We go into how they got their powers.
Yeah.
And also there is this villain who is basically their nemesis, who is this giant demon figure. Now, at some point, obviously, there's going to be a giant confrontation.
Yeah, that's going to be in volume 3.
Oh, it is? Okay. Okay, so then beyond that, do you have plans for more beyond stories for the brothers beyond that as well?
Yeah, I know it sounds a bit disappointing, but this is the arc I wanted to share. But I have plenty of stories I wrote in high school and college, so I'll probably just do a collection of short stories, post volume 3.
Okay.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 pages, and then it'll be a collection like in a floppy format.
Okay. All right. Now, the other books are already broken up. They're volumes, but they're already broken up into digestible issues if you wanted to ever break those out into floppies themselves. Have you thought about doing that, or is that something that maybe just something down the road? Or
I didn't think about it until later. I just like the aesthetic because I am more of a trade guy. I mean, I did collect floppies when I was a kid, but trades were so much easier for me. And so I just like the format of having interior covers. But my editor is like, no, you want to break this up so that in case the secondary market comes back. I'm like, okay. So,
yeah, well, I mean, that was one of the things, like reading through it. I like that there's the interior covers. It feels like each one is a separate issue. Again, it kind of fed to me, at least. It kind of fed that feeling of like, this is a series that somehow I missed, but I managed to find it, and like now I'm reading it and I'm getting away with something because it's it's raunchy and there's drugs and there's violence and like But that was I really like that format because you feel like, I mean, obviously if you wanted to read it, I tend to read every book I get, like even the big books, I tend to just read them all in one sitting. It's just how I like to do it. But it's a nice, easy way if you wanted to just break it up and like read one and be like, okay, I read that issue. I'm going to come put it down and come back to it tomorrow and read another one. You could do that as well.
right.
So I think, I don't know, I'm as a writer, because I used to write as well back in the day. No, I only draw, but as a writer, I think it's an interesting way of like challenging yourself, even if you are not gonna like be publishing, you're not gonna be publishing the floppies, but trying to condense like parts of the story in 24, 22 page, episodes, so to speak, or sequences. And like,
Right.
I'm gonna condense the story, then keep condensing, and then I'm gonna put it all together, and it's gonna read like seamlessly. I think it's a good thing as a writer, but Chimera probably knows more about it than me.
Yeah, no, I agree though. I think it's fun to read it that way. It's also a fun presentation. Because when you get to the end of the one chapter and then you get that cover break in between, like it just gives you that, like, it's like a visual reset almost of like, okay, now we're going again, I like I said, I looked at it at first and then in reading through them, I'm like, he's got all these stories that really could break down into a bunch of issues at this point if you ever decided you wanted to put out floppies, whether it be through a publisher or through later on down the road, like even self-published or whatever, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I just think it's smart. It's a smart way to do things, I think.
Oh, for sure. I just don't think the secondary market will ever come back, but I don't know, maybe there's old school guys that like floppies. So
Yeah,
But you
I think
never
it's
know. I mean, the society may collapse one of these days. Like it's clearly going there. So it's clearly
Yeah.
like a reason, and we're gonna go back to the 80s. I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind that either. Yeah, no, I mean, I look at like what Clint Stoker's doing with Downcast. Like he did his graphic novels and then broke them up, and he has them coming out through Alterna as floppies. So I mean, it's something that can be done.
Yeah,
I agree.
sure. Yeah. I thought I was going to say them. Okay. Yeah.
So where did, so you said you came up with these stories like back in high school?
Oh, before that, middle school.
Oh, okay. So middle school, you had this. So take us back to when you were creating these characters and when you were creating this back in let's say junior high school. How different is it now, the finished product that's out there now, as opposed to the stuff that you actually were writing back then?
Oh man. Well, I guess if you mean story wise, because I would just sit at the computer, just randomly start typing. Like I would have the story start in my head, and then I just start typing the rest out. So my stories made no sense, but the story in my head that I constructed, I'm trying to like, because I changed it over the years, but then around when I was 19 or 20, I tried shifting it back to what I originally had. First of all, the characters all look different except for Carnage. They all used to look like monsters. They all had bald heads and pointy ears.
Okay.
Yeah, and they get their powers from stones, which is what I did, which is how you see it in Volume 1. But the stones were literally embedded in their bodies. I think I got that idea from Jackie Chan Adventures with the talismans.
Yes.
Yeah, so they had to like actually have the stones in their bodies, or like their arms or whatever, and they would get easily killed. Like they couldn't regenerate. Like when I started reading X-Men and Wolverine, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just have them regenerate to explain why they got killed.
Mhm.
So I killed them off like Kenny from South Park, and then they just appeared the next story. Yeah, there were no rules. Like I was just randomly. Yeah, I was just a 12-year-old with ADHD.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand. I've shared some on my channel here. Anybody who's been on my channel, who's watched some of my videos knows I've shared. I still have like comics that I made when I was a kid, and I'll make a video sometimes where I'll just show it and I'll show the comic and I'll read through it in the video, and they're ridiculous. They're terrible. But it's just fun. It's fun to do. But it's funny because like back then, like I didn't care about story length or anything like that. The story, I was just making it up as I went along. So some of them would be like 7 pages. Some of them would be like 15, 20 pages. It just depended on what I was doing. And
yeah, mine would be like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it was basically just like, I don't know, how much fun am I having, and am I going to just keep going? And I would just make it up as I went along. And I was literally just drawing the comic and making up the story at the same time because, like, whatever, I was a kid. Who cares? But yeah, I totally did that. And then now it's funny because now I'm going back and I'm looking at some of those ones, and like some of them, like I said, a lot of them are terrible. A lot of them are, blatant ripoffs of other characters. But now like I'm looking back on them and going, I could change this and I could tweak that and I could actually do something with this.
There's always that possibility.
That's what
I think Eric Larson created Savage Dragon when he was in grade school, something like that, right?
That explains a lot.
Good point.
To be fair, when Savage Dragon first started, it was actually a good comic.
I remember
the first 25 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my 2 favorite Image titles were Savage Dragon and Deathblow. I thought Deathblow was like genuinely good. Like it was cool,
I liked Deathblow.
Yeah.
I liked it too. I mean, first of all, I was a giant Jim Lee fanboy, so like
there's also that
helps. But no, I actually enjoyed. In fact, I went back not that long ago and I reread that what was it called? Darker Image, where it had a Deathblow story, Blood Wolf, which was Rob Liefeld's Lobo ripoff. And there was another story in there too. I forget what it was. But not that long ago, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago, I went back and I reread that, and the Deathblow story still held up. Like it was pretty good. And honestly, the Blood Wolf story wasn't bad either. It was actually pretty funny. It was funnier than I remember it being.
I don't remember who wrote Blood Wolf. I think I bought like the first 6 issues of the miniseries, something like that. It was okay. It was like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and at least they made an effort to not make him exactly like Lobo. Like he would screw up and apologize and stuff like that. Like he was relatable. He wasn't like a full-blown sociopath like Lobo. You know?
Right. Well, and it's funny because you talk about like Chimera. You were saying like you were surprised that people like the character of Carnage, and it kind of fits in that type of character that we're talking about now with characters like Lobo or Blood Wolf. Like they're a little psycho, and they're probably not someone you would actually want to hang out with in real life. But when you're talking about a comic book, it's okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's just what I gravitate to. I'm not trying to like do ultra violence just to, I don't know, freak people out or whatever. That's just how it just naturally comes. Well, I grew up reading Spawn, so maybe that's why. that was like the first comic I read that I actually enjoyed, because I read like Daredevil and Hulk, and I didn't enjoy them for some reason.
Okay. That's interesting. You see, now for me, like I always loved, like I'm old, so like I was reading comics from back in the 80s. So like, I would read Daredevil. I always liked Daredevil, but then when the Image thing happened, I remember being like super into all the Image books when Image first started. Like I bought everything. It didn't matter what it was. It could be like, I have the Blood Strike #1 with the rub the blood on the cover. I have, like I still have all that stuff.
Yeah, Image back in the day was like the shit. Like it would make every other comic book like look obsolete with the whole, metallized color palette that they had. Like it just made every other comic book like look boring in comparison.
Well, there was so much that was just different. When you looked at the stuff, like something like the Max, like there would never be a comic like that coming out of Marvel or DC. It was just so different. It just, it just had this crazy look. You were like, what is this guy? I don't even know what the hell he is. like,
yeah, I remember reading the Max, and I didn't, cause I was like, I don't know, 12 years old, something like that. I didn't understand what I was reading. Like, is this guy a superhero? Is he a monster? Like, what's going on? Why is he hanging out with this chick?
Right. And then at one point, you're like, is he just a crazy homeless man? Yeah. Like, what is happening here? But it didn't matter. Like, I still bought them all because it was just like, this
is so cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just looked so cool, and it was just so crazy that like I had to try it. And honestly, Savage Dragon, like the first issue where he pulls out the chainsaws and he's like hacking up that rat guy, I was like, okay, yeah, I could be down with this. All right.
Yeah, I always said that Savage Dragon was like a cross between Watchmen and Hill Street Blues. Like, it was like a police story, but with super villains, and
right.
It turns out like the protagonist cop also had superpowers for some reason. It's like, it was nice. I liked it. It still holds up.
Yeah. Oh no. Like I said, I still think the beginning of that. I mean, obviously, it's been going forever, and now it's just like I don't even know what to call it now.
Yeah, it's like porn now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good. But it's one of those things where I feel like he's just keeping it going just to keep it going, and that's it. Like, there's no. I can't imagine that he's sitting there going, like, oh, this is going to be a great issue. I got the best idea. This is going to be like, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't see. I don't even think he's excited for it. At this point.
I guess it just makes money. So he's like, okay, what are they going to do? I don't know. They just fuck. I mean, hanging out for like 25 years. I guess it's the next thing they would do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very odd. I don't know. I mean, there's that whole thing with the kids in the wind, like through the wind, like that. Just
no.
Yeah, comic book people are weird, man.
And now, also, Chimera, you had another book besides the SOS series. You had Testament.
Yes.
And that one is I actually have a link. There's a link in the description down below to the Etsy store if people still want to pick that up.
Oh, sweet.
That is available on. It's also featured on Bancroft's website.
Oh yeah.
What is it? cgnow.net. So it's available on there as well. And that one, unfortunately, I didn't get to pick that one up. I have what we like to call the Italian disease, Mafunzolo. So the money has been very, very hard to come by lately. So I've had to like cool that down. I see in the chat, Jeremy said, I also like the 92 X-Men. Unfortunately, X-Men 97 is going to be woke. Well, yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, this is true, too. The original Jubilee voice actor wants her to be voiced by an Asian actress.
What does she also want her to be voiced by an actual mutant?
I know. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, are we going to, like, just carry this to the logical conclusion then? Where, like, if it's a mutant, it has to be voiced by an actual mutant. Okay, good luck finding one.
I mean, that's the thing. Mutants aren't human, at least not 100%. So they're a different race. So you can say that an Asian mutant is a mutant human. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's hysterical because you see a lot of this. In fact, my daughter pointed out to me, and I had no idea about this one until just the other day. I don't know if you've ever heard of Miraculous.
Yes, the ladybug thing.
Yeah. It's a cartoon with it takes place in Paris. It's about a girl. Her name is she has a secret identity, and it's Ladybug. So she's got like this red bodysuit with like polka dots on it and stuff, and she's got powers. And there's another character named Cat Noir, who's he's a cat. Like he like turns into like a black cat basically, and they fight like super villains. It's actually not a terrible show. And my daughter loves it, which is funny because like I'm sure like her, and it's funny because she told me like her, and she's in high school, and her and some of her other friends like they watch it, but no one like wants to admit that they watch it. But so anyway, that's just a long way of getting to one of the characters in the new season has a different voice, and apparently the reason they have a different voice is because the original actor stepped down to allow, because it's a black character and this it was not black, so they stepped down in order to allow a person of color to take over the voice of that character. And it was so funny because my daughter was so pissed. She's like, oh, I hate the new stupid voice. Just like
that was important for me when I was a kid and I was watching cartoons. Like whenever they switch voices for whatever reason, because one of the voice actors quit or died or whatever, I was like, that really bothered me. Like, yeah, this isn't the same guy. It's not. I don't like it.
Well, I feel like with cartoons, like one of the big, like obviously they're not real, so they're always going to kind of look the same unless they go through some sort of drastic art style change. They're always going to look the same, but then suddenly there's a different voice coming out of that character's mouth, and it's going to immediately just make you look at it like, wait, what? It's gonna throw you off. I mean, if suddenly like a regular actor whose voice you knew suddenly started speaking with a completely different voice, you would just be like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And that's
confusing.
Yeah, and that's what happens like with kids when you're watching a cartoon and the voice changes. But like I think it's funny because they make such a big deal about this, and then at the same time you've got like everybody loves Samurai Jack. Everybody.
Right. I was gonna bring that up, Phil Wilmore.
Yeah. And I've never heard anyone complain that the voice of Samurai Jack was done by a black man, not an Asian man. No one cared.
Actually, well, in 2012, I think he addressed like him voicing Asian, and he didn't have a problem with it on Reddit. Mm-hmm. And then like recently, it's like, oh well, they should be voiced by so and so. I'm like,
right?
Okay, so you are full of shit. Okay,
exactly.
I love Samurai Jack growing up. I don't care.
Right. Listen, you mentioned Jackie Chan Adventures before. I loved that show.
I think
that was great.
Yeah, I don't know who did the voice. The guy who voiced him also played Shindu, so he had range, but it wasn't Jackie Chan.
Right, exactly. It wasn't Jackie Chan.
I always wonder, there was actually Jackie Chan in the show? So, no, right?
No. Well, he appeared at the end, like he would receive fan mail or whatever, but no. Whoever did it, spot on.
Yeah, no, the guy who did it was good, but like, yeah, Jackie would show up in like these little live action bits. But the whole rest of the show was just some other voice actor. It wasn't Jackie Chan, but it still worked. Like, like once you establish that pattern, you're all good. It's the same thing that's going on with like the whole Buzz Lightyear thing. Obviously everybody you think of Buzz Lightyear, you're gonna think of Tim
Allen.
Tim Allen. Yeah, Tim Allen. Like that's just synonymous with it. And then there's one other step. Like if you watched, and I actually really enjoyed the cartoon, the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command cartoon. That was Patrick Warburton, who also did The Tick, and he did some other people.
Mention Rose, yeah.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. So either one of those voices in that new Lightyear movie, I feel like would have been good. But instead, they had to go with Chris Evans. Like, really?
Well, and what is weirder, that's like it's not Buzz Aldrin the toy; it's the actual, or not Buzz Aldrin, but Buzz Lightyear the toy instead of it's the actual Buzz Lightyear. Like what? I think a spin-off of just Buzz Lightyear the toy would have been better, not the actual person or alien or whatever.
Well, I don't know if you ever saw the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, but that was it was like it was kind of high concept in a way, because what it was it was a cartoon that was, it was essentially like, you know how in the 80s we had the Transformers cartoon, a G.I. Joe, the cartoon, they were designed, He-Man, they were all designed to sell toys. What Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is it was ostensibly, it's the cartoon that like Andy would have watched that would make him want to buy the toy.
Right.
Like that's what it is. So it's a whole, they're in space, there's a bunch of aliens, they're fighting crime in outer space. It's actually a fun show. And that to me worked. Like I don't think we needed an actual real person on whom the toy is based on when we already had that. Like I feel like that was enough.
Yeah. Well, one movie I enjoyed when I was a kid, what was it? Small Soldiers, Tiny Soldiers.
Small Soldiers, yeah.
Yeah,
Small Soldiers was awesome. It was like Gremlins' retarded little brother. But I really liked it because I think it was like 17 years old when I was, and I was like, I totally want to buy those toys. Even if I'm too old, actually. Oh yeah, no, keep going. I'm gonna give Chimera a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. I see like in the chat, Jeremy brings up Aku was voiced by Mako, but after he died was replaced by a white guy who worked close with him. Yeah, I mean, if somebody,
okay.
Yep, there he is.
Wow. Get out. I haven't seen that movie.
I actually did buy the toy.
I haven't seen that movie since I was like 6. Wow.
It's funny the things that stick with you, like the stuff that catches you. Like you can never be sure like what it is that's gonna get you.
Well, nowadays less and less things. I'm
Yeah.
rarely excited for anything because everything sucks and everything is done like even people with talent feel like they're going just through the motions, you know,
Mhm.
like Chris Claremont and all these guys. Like it's just not the same.
No. Well, they're gonna do that whole like X-Men cartoon reboot, and that's just gonna be like terrible. Like they did that, they did that series with Brett Booth doing the art, and they brought in some of the other people doing that. And like obviously Brett Booth's art is ridiculous. Like that guy's a ridiculously talented artist. But again, like it's not quite the same, and then forget about like the actual X-Men titles that are going on right now. Those are a freaking nightmare.
It's all about bigotry. Yeah, no, it's not about fighting aliens and evil mutants and giant robots. No, it's about every X-Men comic from now on is gonna be God loves, man kills.
Uh-huh.
Time and time again, like remixed. That's
I
what
just
it's
think the whole X-Men thing is played out, like mutants being oppressed. I don't know. I just think that's just, it's getting old. How oppressed can they possibly be?
Well, that's at this point. What's happened is because it's been going for so long, and these writers are just nuts that like they're literally the villains at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. like at this point, they literally are just the villains. The
current year X-Men comic books read like a serial killer's diary. Like, and I'm gonna flee to an island with all my friends, and I'm gonna kill anyone who tries to step in. You're supposed to be a hero, dude.
Right.
When the next big serial killer comes out, it's not going to be a manifesto. It's going to be a X-Men comic book.
I know. I was viewing this video that Zach made the other day about this chick nature girl.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah,
goes
yeah.
on a killing spree because somebody, like, I don't know, hurt a tortoise, some shit.
Yeah,
Like,
there was
and
a
it was like played straight. Like,
Right.
if it was like a Lobo comic, like, you know, somebody stole his dolphins and he goes
Mhm.
on a killing spree and murders half of the galaxy, but you know, it's played for laughs. Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's so absurd, it's so weird. No, this is played straight. Like, it's good to be a serial killer for nature.
Right.
Fucking weird, man.
Yeah, no, they straight up, like, the whole thing starts when a turtle, like, comes up on the shore, and it's got, like, a sea turtle, and it's got a plastic bag in its mouth. And so instead of, like, okay, let's try to help the turtle, or hey, you know what? We've got Forge, who can literally build any machine in the world. We've got we've got mutants who can control the weather. We've got all sorts of crazy powers. We could probably just clean up the oceans on our own, and no one would be able to do anything. No one would stop us. Like, instead of doing that, she decides, she looks at the bag that was in the turtle's mouth and says, oh, this is the store it came from? I'm going to go to that store and then murder the manager by stabbing him in the neck with scissors.
What comic is this?
It's X-Men Green.
Oh, now you're interested, aren't you?
I didn't know if you were like making a joke or.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I mean, go watch the video. That's what happens.
Oh my god.
Yeah. She finds the bag in the turtle's mouth and decides, I have to go murder the freaking store manager of some, like, convenience store in Nevada. Like, what?
Okay.
That line of reasoning doesn't even make sense at
No.
all. Not
No.
even like one iota.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah, I mean, it's the manager doesn't go around with the bags. It's actually the customers.
Exactly.
Somebody bought something at that store and then just threw the bag away. So you should probably look for that person. I don't know, use Cerebro or something if it's so important
Right.
for you to find and kill this specific person.
I think Professor actually be like, it's a bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't lose your shit over it. It's a bag.
Yeah, like, okay, listen. I like sea turtles just as much as the next guy. But I'm not going to...
Well, maybe a bag killed her entire family. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, she was just coming out of watching a Zorro movie and a bag murdered his parents.
The bag killed them all.
Yes, father, I shall become a bag.
Oh, God. Now I want to see that.
It writes itself.
Yeah. I am Bagman. There you go.
There's something really wrong with people writing comics these days. I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
absolutely. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's played 100% straight. At least, like, the violent, like, the stuff in SOS, like, yeah, they're very violent. They're very violent, but it's funny. Like,
Yeah, because if you actually like play this straight, it would be horrible. Like, it would be a horror story.
right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're funny. Like, they're funny. They're like a bunch of knuckleheads who just get into all kinds of craziness, get into fights, beat people up, steal drugs, do like
They basically make things worse trying to save the day.
right.
Yeah.
They inadvertently save it.
Yeah, like it's not, okay, here's this really serious take on how they're gonna fight these aliens. No, like we're just having a good time. It's comic books. It's entertaining. Like, and that's that's one of the things. Like, you see it, like you said, like Ibai, like you said, it's hard to get excited for things now. So many things are so bad all the time now that it's very hard to get excited for any kind of announcement.
The X-Men comics just proves that things are made by people who don't love them. They just know how to hate. Like, they hate their Twitter enemies and they hate, I don't know, Trump and this imaginary coalition of white men or whatever, They're not really interested in the comic. They don't like the craft. They don't like the characters. They just
Right.
want to paint.
Well, that's what you see. Like you see so much of this stuff is just people for whatever reason the comic book industry allowed these people to get in and start actually telling them, "Oh yeah, you're good. You could write more comics." And like, no, they should say, "No, you suck. Get out." Like,
Yeah, there's no editors.
no. Like the editors back in the day were so different. Like when you hear the stories, like
Jim
back in the
Shooter.
well, yeah, like, but not only just the editor in chief, but even the editors below them, like the group editors and all that, like they were so careful to make sure that if a character was being used in one book, that it wouldn't be used in a conflicting way in another book. It had to make sense. It had to still be the same character. And now, like you have the same character appearing in two different books at the same time, and they are completely different personalities in
Yeah.
each book.
I remember they had that problem. It was not really a problem because it was handled. Shit, keep forgetting my English. They dealt with it well. It was Wolverine in the 90s. You know, Wolverine was everywhere. He was in
Right.
every team. He was in X-Force. He was in the X-Men. He was in X-Factor. So they were careful to like not to trip on their own feet. Like it had to be like a consistent dude. Like not be in Russia if he was established to be in Canada and all that. You know,
Right.
nobody didn't give a fuck. Like, what's her name? Kamala Khan.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't even have a definite personality. You don't know how she's supposed to be. Like
Right.
she's like tipsy teen slash hashtag activist or however the fuck you say it. Like it's abrasive, it's cute, you don't know how she is.
Right. No, and that's all the characters. They're either all the same, like every character has the same personality.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to make these characters like you said, Chimera, when you were writing Carnage, you were writing him to be an asshole. Like that's what you wanted.
Right.
You wanted him. He's a dick. Like that's what he's supposed, and that's what he is. And that's fine. Like you can enjoy a character who's like that. But they would never do that with one of their characters because all their characters have to be perfect and be the best and unless it's like, unless it's Tony Stark or Peter Parker. For some reason, they have no problem just shitting all over those guys.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to
Pretty
make
much
it
any
like,
male character that they haven't shit on.
yeah.
Yeah,
very
well, that's yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's very strange.
Yeah, and like I said, you've got like personalities, and characters need to have different personalities. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. There's nothing compelling about that if they're all exactly the same.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember noticing that the first time when I was reading comic books by Warren Ellis in the
Mhm.
early 2000s. Like they all had the same personality. They were all like snarky asshole. Like how's Elijah Snow? Well, he's a snarky asshole. Okay, how's like the drummer from Planetary? He's a snarky asshole. Okay,
Mhm.
how's like Tony Stark in Ultimate Nightmare? Snarky asshole. Okay, they're all like that.
Yeah, now you get that, especially like with the women characters. They're all like
Snarky asshole.
every one of them is gonna talk down to somebody. They're gonna give somebody's gonna get a talking to.
Yeah, they
It's-
did that with Faye Valentine from the Cowboy Bebop live action remake. Like
Uh-huh.
she's supposed to be like this really mellow Black Widow type seductress.
Right.
No, she's snarky asshole. She's a abrasive lecturing woman person.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's
I had-
not her character.
I have not watched 1 second of that show. I
Neither
refuse
have
to.
I. I just heard about it. You're not gonna cut me dead watching that shit.
No, I absolutely refuse to watch that. I will go back and watch the original 6 more times before I will watch any of the new stuff. Like the
I've only
Fir-
seen the clips on Twitter, and I've only kept the volume off. And I can already tell it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, listen, it's sad, and that's one of the things that when Comicsgate first started, that's one of the things that got me excited was people were into the idea of telling fun comic book stories. They weren't going to try to lecture you. They were just going to have fun. Here's a fun comic book. That's what comic books are supposed to be.
They're funny books. It's in their name.
Right, like, and you can. It doesn't mean that every comic has to be the same. You can have lots of different kinds of comics. That's one of the beauties of comics is that you literally could do anything. I know as a kid, one of the things I used to say all the time. Like I said, I used to make comics when I was a kid all the time, and one of the things I always would say is the cool thing about comic books is that they have an unlimited budget. You can do anything. It doesn't matter. You can wipe out an entire city. You can just destroy a whole planet. You can have this giant cosmic battle happening, and it's the same budget as if you were making a story about two people eating pizza. Like, it doesn't matter.
You just
the
need
budget-
paper, pencils, and ink, and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And like and obviously now as technology has gone on, like movies can do more and more and more and more. But like back then, it wasn't. It was hard to do stuff like that in a movie. It was going to be super friggin' expensive. But but somewhere along the way, things kind of got inverted. Whereas the movies started doing like these big spectacles, these big giant battles, stuff like like the Star Wars prequels and like the Lord of the Rings movies, like they have these giant epic battles that never would have been able to be put to film years ago because they just couldn't hire that many extras at all. Like you would have to literally hire enough extra. Like, and
I
it's the
think they
entire.
actually developed like a new software for the battle scenes in Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
like that will allow them like quickly replicate the people on
Right.
screen. I don't know how that worked, but yeah, it was like the first time they tried something like that.
Yeah, because there were so many on screen at once. Like you would literally have to cast an entire country to fill that many roles. Like it would just be ridiculous. But then as the movies started to be able to do that stuff, I feel like for some reason, and it doesn't make sense, but like the movies started to be able to do this, and then the imagination of the mainstream went this way instead of continuing to go with it, which really should have been above it. It kind of went the other way instead. And it's one of those things that it's just it's really almost inexplicable how.
I think it's because the same way Jaws is that good is because the shark didn't work. They couldn't get the damn shark to work, so they had to improvise. Okay, so the thing is not working. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna shoot like the POV of the shark approaching the victim or whatever, and we're just gonna use the music, and that's why it's so good because they didn't have the means, so they had to be creative. Now they have all the means at their disposal, so they don't have to be creative at all. How are we gonna solve this problem? I just CGI the shit out of it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. That's one of the things. I mean, even going into video games and other stuff, like limitations force creativity. They do. They just do. And like you said, the Jaws example is a great example. They can get the frickin' shark to work for anything, so they had to shoot around it.
Actually, I think you only see the shark for like 2 minutes on screen, something like that. It's ridiculously low the amount of time it's on the screen, but it's still terrifying.
Right. Well, same thing with the original Alien. Same
now
thing.
Ridley Scott has it like jumping around CGI, like jumping from a crane to sheep.
Like, yeah, at some point, like, when do we just get the big musical number? Like, like you might as well.
It's all shot like a superhero movie. The new Alien movie was like a superhero movie.
Well, and I was gonna say, and that's also something that we see a lot of is this like homogenization of a lot of things.
Yes.
The Marvel movies have had a lot to do with that, and then honestly, the precursor even to that was was Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon's writing has infected and just infested so much of the entertainment world that everything has to be the snarky characters, make the little quip, easily defeat the bad guy, or in the face of like overwhelming odds where you should be shitting your pants, you got to make that funny little comment, like not everything needs to be that way, but that's how everything is presented now.
Yeah. I think just within the worst thing that he did was make it all self-referential. Because I remember he did that in the fourth Alien movie. they would like talk about the other movies as if they were movies that they had seen. Like, oh yeah, this Ripley chick, she's an expert in killing aliens. No, she's not.
No,
She barely survived 3 movies. She's not an
Right.
alien killer. Like, she barely made it out alive 3 times out of actually only 2. Like the 3rd time she died.
that's true. That's true. That's very true. She did die
We're
in the
talking
3rd
about
movie.
like she was this legendary, iconic character. No, she's iconic in our reality.
Right.
In universe, she's just some chick who was extremely lucky twice.
Right. And truthfully, most people wouldn't have any idea who the hell she was.
Yeah.
Because most of that would have been covered up anyway.
Yeah, that's classified intel, like classified army intel or whatever.
Right. So nobody would even know about that. But yeah, you're right. Like that's definitely a big problem. I mean, it's like I said, the Joss Whedon style of writing has infected so much and infested so much. And also there's definitely, I feel like, and one of the things, oh God, don't start with the Halloween movie.
Oh,
Did you see Halloween Kills?
we actually watched it, the Red Letter Media review, Jess and I. It's like, sorry, my God.
I saw a cam copy of it. I like some of the killing aspects, but it was not as good as the 2018 one.
No, it's bad.
Okay.
It's just straight up bad. My wife and I watched it. We were like, all right. Like my wife and I watch horror movies all the time. Like it's one of the things we love to do. And they're like, oh, cool. New Halloween movie. Let's check it out. And we watched it, and we were just like, after it was over, we both just my wife and I just looked at each other and were like, that was crap. We just literally were like, that is like an hour and 45 minutes of my life I am never getting back. That was terrible.
I mean, I honestly never understood what was the appeal of Michael Myers, because it's like Jason Voorhees minus the humor.
Yeah, but he appeared before Jason, right?
Yeah.
78.
Yeah, no, that's yeah.
I like Jason more because it makes sense. It makes sense he's a revenant or like an undead.
Yeah, well, Jason, right from the get-go, I mean, in the first movie, he's dead throughout the entire movie. It's his mom who's killing everyone, and then he comes up out of the lake at the end. Spoilers for like a 100-year-old movie, and but like right then and there, you've established, okay, something is not natural about this. He's coming back from the dead already, So you're already operating from a place where, yeah, he could get killed over and over again, and it's not going to matter.
Right. In that
whereas,
Halloween movie, Michael Myers should have been killed by the mob of people.
Yeah, well, Michael should have been killed like 100 times.
Yeah.
Like
I thought the 2018 one was more realistic, but this latest one, they should have easily killed him. Like, just get a gun.
Well, there's that whole scene. If anyone hasn't seen Halloween Kills, don't bother. There's the whole scene where they're beating him up in the street, in the middle of the street. Like they set him up, and they're beating him up in the middle of the street, and then all of a sudden, like he literally does. It's honestly kind of funny. Like somebody should take like old WWE commentary and put it over this. Because he literally, like, he's getting beat up. They're beating him down. He's down. He's out. It's like Hulk Hogan after getting hit by the bad guy's finishing move. And then suddenly he hulks up, gets up, and then he just murders everyone that's there, the whole mob of people. And it was like, he literally just hulked up and then just killed her. Like, is he going to do this next? Like it was so stupid.
So what was the explanation? Like
There was none.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There was no explanation. The whole thing they kept saying, like, finally, like at one point they tried to kind of explain that like he'll never actually die because as long as people are afraid of him, that's where he gets his powers, and he'll always be there.
Okay.
So they're turning him into Freddy Krueger?
Kinda,
But he's human.
but not really. Yeah, it's very.
He always was, because in the second Halloween movie, it established that he's like the incarnation of Samhain, the Celtic god
No,
of
the
death.
third one.
That's
No,
not.
I don't know. There's a movie like they establish
Yeah.
that he's like the avatar of the Celtic god of death.
Well, then
So,
they made.
okay.
Then they made the sixth one where they talk about that whole cult, and he got his powers from that whole like cult, the ancient cult with this curse and all this other. And then at the end, what I love about that one's terrible too. But what I love about that one, they go through this whole explanation about how he's got this cult that gives him his supernatural powers and yada yada yada, and then the movie ends with Paul Rudd beating him to death with a lead pipe. That's so, it's like, what?
That's because that was the theatrical ending. The producer's cut actually had them with the whole cult thing. Apparently, it didn't do so well.
Is that the movie in which Busta Rhymes beat the shit out of him?
That's Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Okay. Yeah, I stopped paying attention to Halloween after the not Halloween movie with the Halloween masks that control people and all that. I think that's the third one.
Yeah, that was
the third.
one.
The third one's ridiculous.
I mean, there's only so much you can do with a guy with a mask who wants to stab people. Like,
Right.
There's really not much to squeeze from that.
Yeah, it's part of it is because you're trying to retrofit all this stuff onto it. They're trying to like with this new batch of movies. It's like, well, the first two movies happened, but then the rest of them didn't. But then we're gonna reference this, and we're gonna like instead of trying to like at some point you got to just say like just forget it. Like just forget it. Let it go.
I thought with the ones now, only the first movie happened.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because they retconned him to not be Laurie's brother.
Yeah, John Carpenter didn't like that for some reason. So I guess he's just stalking her just cause.
Right, like it's just coincidence.
That's the whole point about Michael Myers. That's what I like about John Carpenter. Evil has no point.
Oh, okay.
It's just random.
Like I would have been happier if they would have just because how they always call him the boogeyman, like especially in the first couple. Like honestly, if he literally just was the boogeyman and we just went with that, I'd be like, okay, like all right, I'm cool with that. Like, like it doesn't have to be like not everything has to be high art. Not everything has to be like as long as it's and that's where you mentioned like Friday the 13th. Like Friday the 13th, not all those movies are good. And
they know it. I mean, they took him to space, for God's sake.
I love that one.
There's two movies that I love. It's that one, and I think it's Jason Goes to Hell, in which the FBI ambushes him with a hot chick taking a shower. That's even I was like, I don't know, 12 years old when I saw that, and I thought that's just awesome. Like you're gonna have a busty chick take a shower just to lure in Jason, and when he's coming, the FBI is gonna pop up and he's gonna blow into pieces with assault rifles.
Right.
Metal.
And then Freddy Krueger grabs his mask at the end.
I also love Freddy versus Jason.
I was just gonna say Freddy versus Jason's actually good.
Yeah, I really like
because it knew what it was and it didn't try to be anything beyond that.
I don't know why people were like, this movie is shit, and I was like, what were you expecting? It's like basically it's the Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan in hell.
Exactly.
That's what you're gonna want to say. Like, yeah, Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, and Jason X, like that movie is so ridiculous that I love it because it's just so over the top.
Dude, the simulation scene with the chicks and the sleeping bags.
Oh my god, that is the funniest thing.
You see it every time. Like, hi, you want to have premarital sex with us? And you can say how Jason just stands there, like you can always feel the vein bulging through his head.
I love it, and the best part is like when they cut away and then they come back and he's got the one girl in the sleeping bag, the other girls, and he's just slamming the one girl on the other girl, and then when they come in, he just takes with one hand, just whap right into the tree.
Well, this movie's fucking great. I don't care what anyone says. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but I love it. It's so funny. Like, and it had to me, which was funny because I love like the old like 90s like syndicated action shows and like all the syndicated sci-fi shows and all that stuff that was around back then. There was a show called Andromeda, and it had Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, He was
Right.
in it. He was the captain of the ship, but there was on the ship there was two other characters, and the one was an android who was basically like an avatar of the ship, and that was her name was Andromeda. And there was the other one who was like she was like his first in command and whatever. And the funniest thing is they're both in Jason X, and in Jason X, the girl who plays the android on Andromeda is a regular person, and the girl who plays the regular person in Andromeda is the android in Jason X. Like it was like they swapped roles from their TV show in this movie for some bizarre reason.
That was probably like a self-referential joke. I'm willing to bet.
I feel like it had to be, because what are the odds that they would cast these two random chicks from this, syndicated science fiction show?
Probably Canada too.
Probably. Oh, we have a Kevin Sorbo fan in the audience.
Man, Kevin is based.
I listen. I always liked Hercules. I liked Xena. I liked all those shows. And the cheesier they were, the more I loved them. Like you had the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. Like that show had like really bad CGI dinosaurs and stuff in it, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, so did Xena. It had like early to late 90s CGI. Like the dragons were like clearly, I don't know, graphics. But it was still great.
Yeah, no,
I don't care what anyone says.
Hercules had a little of that too. It's like with the the CGI really obvious CGI, like PlayStation 2 level CGI monsters.
I don't know, they were fun. They were like, Sam Raimi stuff. It was like Army of Darkness, the series. That kind of humor. Yeah, I really liked it. Plus, Bruce Campbell was in them, so.
Yep. Well, and he always did. Bruce Campbell always did appearances on those shows, because those were all Raimi shows.
Yeah.
So he did appearances on those, and then he had his own at one point. He played the king.
Briscoe County.
Yes, I think it was Briscoe County. Yeah. But he played the King of Thieves on Hercules and Xena. He was on both of them. And then I guess it's Sam Raimi's brother.
Yeah.
Well, he was he was a character on he was on Xena a lot.
He was Yoxer.
Yoxer, yes.
Who was a hero in his own mind.
Yes. And he is also in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man. He makes. I
think he's in every Sam Raimi movie.
He might be
in some capacity.
That's like Ron Howard's brother makes lots of appearances.
Yeah. Like in Austin Powers. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. Yep. I follow. Jeremy Ironsman says I follow Kevin and once got a shout out from Lucy Lawless and Bruce Campbell on a stream.
Damn. Oh, nice.
That's awesome. So I know, Chimera, I know you said you only had about an hour, so we could wrap things up. So we just want to mention again, the reason why we're here is for SOS Volume 3. The sign up is now live, so you guys can sign up on Indiegogo. I didn't have the link because I didn't see it before we started, but I'll put the link in the description after we're done. So you guys can click on that. You can go to Indiegogo and just search for SOS Volume 3 if you don't want to wait for me to put the link in. And you can definitely check that out. Sign up, get yourself notified as soon as the campaign goes live. Is there anything, Chimera, anything you want to leave people with just to let them know about SOS? Or are they going to be able to pick up Volume 1 and 2 and maybe even Onslaught as part of this campaign?
Yeah, I'll have add-ons and all that good stuff.
Okay, cool. So yeah, is there anything about SOS you want to just let people know before we get going?
No, it's a fun ride. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I can't speak for Volume 3 if suddenly it takes a nosedive. No, I'm kidding.
I can. I've been drawing it, and it's great. Please buy it. I just bought an apartment, and I have bills to pay.
Yeah. So Ibai will be doing the art again. It must be fun to keep going back to these characters for you, just to get to be able to draw familiar characters.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once you've been drawing them for like, I don't know, 50 pages, they just come naturally to you. You don't even have to force your hand. It's like second nature. So yeah, it's always pleasant.
So, and like I said, I've got, if you guys are curious, I've got reviews for Volume 1, Volume 2, and Onslaught all on my channel, so you guys can check out the playlist. I've got, my comic reviews playlist. You can go back there. You can check those out if you're curious to what I thought about those. And so, like I said, sign up, get on the mailing list. Like I said, I consider myself a fan of this. It's been fun talking to you guys tonight. I really do enjoy this series a lot. So I really couldn't recommend it more highly. I feel like it's one of the I feel like it's one of the like maybe overlooked CG books in a way. Everybody
I do think that it should have made more money, much more money. Yes.
Yeah, like I feel like for some reason it's kind of a little bit of an overlooked, like it's like an indie of the indies in a way.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend anybody out there checking out the replay or here live with us. Definitely check that out. And before we go, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone, even our friend in Spain who doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving because that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, we don't thank the Indians for having taken the lands. It's ours.
Bunch of losers. No. All right, so thank you again to everybody who's watching live, everybody who watches the replay. If it's your first time here, don't forget, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, thumbs up, thumbs down, even though no one can see the thumbs downs anymore. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Hit whatever button you want. Just hit all the buttons. It doesn't matter. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. And RC, thank you for being here again. Canales, thank you for being here. Chimera, thank you for being here. And before we go, I just want to thank our other sponsor and send everyone off with the RC knows what's coming, and send everyone off with the right spirit of Thanksgiving. So I give to you. Not at the bar. Just